what speeds up metabolism, because there's something called the thermogenic effect of feeding, meaning we actually need energy to break down food. So we have to use some of our energy, some of our stored energy to do that work to break down food. Are you ready to bring your dream body and health into life, but just can't seem to keep the motivation going? And is it finally time to address the self-sabotage and the unwanted eating behaviors, such as binge eating, emotional eating, and nighttime eating that are getting in the way of your goals? Do you ever wonder what it would take for you to feel in control of your rituals so that you can stay consistent and see results? Welcome to this week's special Make Peace with Food Minisode on the Fall in Love with Fitness podcast, where you'll learn how to overcome unwanted eating behavior and other self-sabotaging habits by shifting your nervous system so that your body works with you instead of against you. I'm your host, Sherry Shaban, and with each episode, I am honored to be your coaching guide in the journey to make peace with food and find food and body freedom so that struggle with weight is a thing of the past. When you tune in every Thursday on the Fall in Love with Fitness podcast, you'll catch the latest conversation on unwanted eating behaviors and how you shift your nervous system, rewire the brain to new patterns, and end the food and body obsession so you finally feel relaxed and no longer confused around food. Now, I want you to stick around if you're tired of dieting and food restrictions that never seem to stick. You experience anxiety and overwhelm when it comes to food, what to eat, and when to eat it. You feel so confused about what you're supposed to eat. You're ready to end the food obsession and constant worry about weight, which never seems to help anyway. You want to learn how to eat to release weight for good without dieting. Now, before we begin, I want to quickly invite you to grab a free copy of my Food Freedom ebook I have for you at makepeacewithfood.com. And if you find that this conversation resonates with you today, then maybe consider sharing it with someone you know who may need to hear it too. And if you feel called, then I also want to invite you to join our free Make Peace with Food Facebook community at myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com. Again, that's myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com, where you can connect with me and my team directly. All the links are in the show notes. All right, now let's get into it. All right, so what speeds up metabolism? So resistance training, again, remember, a series of crash dieting, calorie restricting, taking semaglutides have removed our lean body mass. And resistance training is also really important because it's actually the way that we can start to burn more calories at rest. So the more muscle tissue that we have, the more calories we burn at rest. And you know, something I hear often is, well, you know, as a woman, as soon as you're in your 30s or 40s, it's natural to start gaining weight, or once you hit menopause, it starts gaining weight. And I always do that voice because it's annoying, because it's not true, okay? And there's enough proof out there that it's not true. Like if you look online, if you look on Instagram, if you follow people who are doing it, then you're gonna know that it's not true. And so the truth though is that, again, like I shared earlier, if you don't use it, you lose it. And the body gets rid of things that it does not need. And so at the age of 25 for women and 29 for men, we lose 1% of our muscle tissue, our lean body mass, every single year if we don't use it. If we don't use it. Now that's 1% every year. So after 10 years, you've lost 10%. If you don't use it, if you don't exercise, if you don't do any form of resistance to keep that muscle or to increase that muscle mass, this is what happens. And so that's why it seems like over time as we age, we put on weight, but it's not that it's age related, and it's also not hormone related. It's really specifically lean body mass related. And so this is very reversible. That's the good news. You can put on muscle tissue at any time. And I'm so honored to say that I work with people in their 60s and their 70s and in their 80s who are doing it. So no excuses. And by the way, again, go on Instagram, look for, you know, fit over 80 or fit over 70 or fit over 60 as a hashtag and see what comes up, because that's what you should be following. You shouldn't be following things that make you feel not enough. You shouldn't be following things that make you feel like things are unachievable. You should actually see that it's very possible. Let that be the proof that you have in your environment. And meals that take work to digest is another way that we speed up our metabolism. So meals that have a lot of fiber, that have protein that's hard to digest, that are not in liquid form, that you actually have to chew and they aren't soft and just easy to kind of go through the body, including refined foods. So anything that takes work to digest, whole foods as another example, is what speeds up metabolism, because there's something called the thermogenic effect of feeding, meaning we actually need energy to break down food. So we have to use some of our energy, some of our stored energy to do that work to break down food. But if we're always eating things that are very easy to digest, bread and pasta and candy and drinking our juices and juice and all these things, that actually makes it very easy for the body to absorb. And so there's no work that's needed to convert that food into energy. Non-purposeful exercise is also another way that we speed up metabolism. I shared this yesterday. Non-purposeful exercise is all the other activity that we do throughout the day that is unintentional. That's all the walking, that's the cleaning the house, that's doing the groceries. It's your steps, essentially. It's your step count throughout the day. And of course, what speeds up metabolism is if you shift into safety mode. If you shift into safety mode, your body doesn't have that need to store any more of those calories, any more of that energy. And releasing stored trauma is another way that we speed up our metabolism. Remember, our physical body is an outward reflection of our internal environment. So if I'm carrying excess weight, that excess weight, that's all the things I've been shoving down with food. I mean, how did I shove down all those emotions? How did I shove down all that trauma that happened to me? And what did I use? I used food to really shove it down. And so your physical body that's carrying this excess weight is actually carrying the energy of trauma. And I also want to, just for a quick moment here, say that I'm not saying this lightly, and I'm not here to tell you that come on, get over it, because I truly believe that we've all gone through something challenging, myself included. I have a lot of traumatic events that happened in my childhood, and physical traumas and sexual traumas. And I'm not here to tell you that it's okay, but I am here to tell you that if we're able to overcome that, then we actually release ourselves from whatever happened. Because if we're still repeating that same thought pattern and that fear and that memory of the trauma that happened 10 years ago, it's almost like we are re-traumatizing ourselves. So we're reliving that trauma over and over and over and over and over again. And that doesn't change the trauma. But what can change is us taking our power back. And by us taking our power back, what we're saying is, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. That's not in charge of me, but I'm in charge of me. And again, I don't say this lightly, because I've done a lot of work around this. And that's why we do hypnotherapy in our Make Peace with Food program. It has been the fastest way that I've released trauma. It's what I also use in my private coaching. It's what I use in our community. And if you've gone through the sessions with me, you know how powerful it is. One session is very powerful to bring up things that you may not even be aware of. But releasing any stored energy is so important, because if you still have that you're holding on to, you're always going to feel unsafe. And remember, if you feel unsafe, you're slowing down your metabolism, you're going to have those cravings, and your body's not going to want to release what's feeling safe, which is that stored body fat. And of course, we spoke about this yesterday, regulating insulin and cortisol is another way to speed up our metabolism. And those are the two hormones that are responsible for fat storage. Insulin is released from the pancreas in response to any carbohydrates that we eat, and cortisol is released from the adrenal glands in response to being triggered in fight or flight or protection mode. So if we learn how to regulate these and decrease them and manage them, then we can also speed up our metabolism. One more thing before you go. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you're aligning with the message, then I want to personally invite you to join me in Costa Rica next May 24 to 31 for Transformation in Paradise Empyrean Retreat. And this is all happening at the Blue Osa in Costa Rica. And this is guaranteed to be the most transformative week of your life. This is going to be a small group experience with exclusive access to the entire Blue Osa Resort. So imagine waking to the sound of the Costa Rican rainforest musical every morning, starting your day with a yoga practice overlooking the Pacific Ocean, joined in with howler monkeys, daily walks on a private beach that goes on for miles, macaws flying overhead all the time, spa treatments at a 5-star resort, and the best farm-to-table food ever, right from the Blue Osa farm itself. Now, this retreat is specifically designed to reset your nervous system. And when you reset your nervous system, you stop the patterns of self-sabotage and overwhelm. You reignite your motivation. You release any addictive habits, and you open yourself to the health, relationships, and financial abundance that you deserve. Intrigued yet? Curious? Let's book a call to find out if this retreat is the right fit for you. Just head on over to sherryshaban.com/retreats. And on that page, you're going to find a place where you can book a time with me there. Plus, if you rate and review this podcast, giving me a 5-star rating on iTunes, and then taking just a moment to send the screenshot to sherry@sherryshaban.com so I know who you are, you're going to receive the voucher to join me as early bird, and you're going to get $400 off to join. So remember, this group is small and the spots are limited. So let's find out if Empyrean is right for you. Thanks for listening to this week's Make Peace with Food Minisode on the Fall in Love with Fitness podcast. If this has resonated with you today, I want to invite you to subscribe to the show so you never miss a beat. And if you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, then please share this episode with them too. Let's work together to help as many people as possible make peace with food and fall in love with fitness. And by the way, if you rate and review this podcast on iTunes or on Spotify and send over the screenshot to sherry@sherryshaban.com so I know who you are, you'll be gifted instant access to my 6-week habit challenge. Don't forget also to visit myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com to join the free Facebook group for more resources. And remember, you are an inspiration. I can't wait to hear your story. See you next time.